It seems that the older we get, the more we wish we can turn back the clock to the carefree days of our childhood. Back when the biggest problems of our lives was when we let the cap off the marker or your baby sister broke your favorite toy. That's why when we revisit something from our childhood, we get a warm, nostalgic feeling. Memories come flooding back in just by a sound, smell, or sight of something that closely resembles a specific time in our young lives. So with that, I bring you a new side series I'd like to start called the Nostalgia Corner, where we go back and reminisce TV shows, music, movies, and of course some video games that we enjoyed as kids. We'll recall if it even existed, if it's aged well, or even if it scarred us somehow. Our first blast from the past is those hideous CGI Barbie VHS tapes. So I know what you're probably most likely not even thinking about, but probably are. That is such a girly memory. Or maybe you were the poor unlucky boy who had to sit and watch his baby sister watch them. If you wanted to watch Power Rangers, you have to wait until she's done with the TV. Or maybe you were a little boy who actually liked Barbie in the movies, I don't know. Alright, so now let's talk about the VHS tapes themselves. I don't know what happened to my copies. I had a bunch of them and I know that I wore them out. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, for making you sit through that so many times. And I'm definitely not gonna search them up online to watch them. I'm not brave enough to revisit this shit. So I'm just gonna base everything off on my memory and the Wikipedia page here. It's gonna be a little mix here, ladies and gentlemen. With the huge popularity of Barbie dolls, it only makes sense they put that cash cow on the big screen. Or in some cases, the screen in your living room to silence your dumb toddler for a few hours. In total, there's about 35 films. Most of them involving princesses and mermaids, it looks like. Oh boy, you can just see the middle-aged men in snazzy suits gathered around a table right now, thinking, what appeals to little girls? Princesses, mermaids, glitter, oh, and Barbie. Let's smash that shit together. That's some good shit right there. If I recall correctly, the last movie that I remember watching was The Island Princess, which came out in September of 2007. I was getting a bit too big for Barbie at that point, so I guess I just kind of fell out of it, thank God. But the one that I do recall the most was Barbie as Rapunzel. Most of these Barbie movies take place as real fairy tales. The Nutcracker, Rapunzel, Swan Lake, Princess and the Pauper, you got Thumbelina, Three Musketeers, and etc. You get the point. Even A Christmas Carol, but who didn't see that coming? If the Muppets can do it, hey, it's fair game. Anybody can do it. Most of them may be based off fairy tales because they usually started off with Barbie telling a story to her friends or little sister. An example would be, once again, Barbie Rapunzel. She was telling her little sister Kelly, or I think it was Skipper, maybe. I don't know which one it is. Barbie then tells the story of Rapunzel and how she liked to paint, but I guess it was like Footloose and it was banned or something. It was frowned upon. I forget, and I'm too scared to go back. Oh. Okay, so according to the trailer, she like sticks her hand in the painting and it's another world. Okay, so it's not like Footloose. Yeah, she just plucked a bird straight out of that painting. That's cool. Yeah, she looks really high, so it makes sense. All right. It's coming back to me now. Thank you, trailer. While telling the story, the narcissistic bitch puts herself in the story, and that was mean, I'm sorry. While telling the story, Barbie places herself as the protagonist, while of course having a love interest, which is Ken, or whoever the equivalent is. You also got your silly comedic relief side characters, which to a brainless toddler may be comedic, but to an adult, annoying as all hell. Like, I can't even remember which movie it was, but there was, like, these little animal creatures. They were the little side characters. They were Barbie's friends. And at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, they turn into human children, and I wish I could remember which Barbie movie it was. It's probably gone by now, because there's so many. He had that obvious middle-aged man voicing him, and he had that stereotypical German accent, and there was just something about him as a kid that drove me nuts. It wasn't because he was German, it was just, I guess it was because I hated when they had a kid character and they gave him the grown man voice. Like they did in Peter Pan with that bear kid. I hated that for some reason. Like that's a good example. If I remember which one it was, I'll put a clip right here.
We are all thanking you for helping us from the hearts of our bottoms.
The bottom of our hearts, Ivan?
Duh.
Moving along, let's talk about that animation. That's where the real goods are at. Of course, it's low-budget CGI, and it's from the early 2000s, so you can't get any uglier. Then again, I guess I can respect what they were trying to go for. Barbie is just a hunk of plastic with lifeless eyes, so it translates perfectly then to this horrible CGI. And if we're going to be talking about the animation itself, we can also talk about the songs. They were never really catchy, although I could still hear the one from Princess and the Pauper ringing in my head right now.
I'm just like you.
You are?
You're just like me. There's somewhere else we'd rather be. Somewhere that's ours. Somewhere the dreams come true. Yes, I am a girl like you.
I don't know why that one stuck. It's not even catchy. It's not even a good song. It's just there. Speaking of Princess and the Pauper, Barbie is, of course, well, a Barbie doll. So every time a new movie came out, they would just shit out Barbie dolls based off the movie. I actually owned a couple. I got some for Christmas one year, so it's obvious that the movies were just a cash-in and a way to promote more Barbie dolls. They weren't made to be good movies, they were just made as cash-ins to appeal to little kids. Really, really little kids, that's why they have not aged well. Especially whenever you're a grown adult, so I'm not going to sit here and say it's terrible, god-awful trash, blah blah blah. And the animation is fun to look at as far as to make fun of. It's really easy to rip on early 2000s low-budget animation. It's a real treat. So to wrap this all up, do you guys remember the Barbie VHS tapes? And if not, you're lucky. If there's an old series, movie, or whatever from your childhood that you'd like me to cover, let me know. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.
Don't you look away. Just try to stay as long as you can. Yeah. Just hold my hand and we'll